What's up, game players? I'd like to welcome you guys to the bonus stage of the Analog Circle podcast. Now, you guys that have listened to the bonus stage, this is episode number 3, and you guys know that this is the format where I just give you guys the gaming news, no fluff, none of my takes, but just the gaming news. So, we're going to get ready to jump into it, but if you want to leave your feedback, you can feel free to leave your feedback at 443-261-4607 and get your voicemail played on the podcast, or you can get your email read if you write into the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. I'm starting to think, guys, that I'm going to do these bonus stages bi-weekly. So if you guys think that's a good idea, you would be on board with it, then definitely leave your comments. I would love to hear from you guys. Unfortunately, though, I had other plans for this weekend. I must shout out this gentleman, Mr. Mastino Davis. He and I were recording a podcast together over the weekend, but due to technical difficulties on my side, the episode never got recorded. So I'm hoping that me and him can hook up and do another episode sometime in the very, very close future. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this bonus stage episode 3, starting off with Gears of War 4 news. Now, it has been announced that PC and Xbox One players will be able to play against each other via cross-play in social quick play. Now, with the first few months being a trial period in order to monitor player feedback. Now, core and competitive modes will remain platform independent, where it will be console player versus console player and PC player versus PC player. However, one day, maybe in the future, this could change. Moving on into some Elite Dangerous news. Now, Elite Dangerous will be getting an update 2.3 beta that will be releasing on February 26th, according to the developer Frontier Developments. Now, game players that have access to Horizons will be receiving the beta software that contains new features called Multi-Crew and Commander Creator. Now, according to PC Invasion, Multi-Crew will enable players to have multiple crew members function in some ships. However, Command Creator is going to allow players to customize their characters, and the purpose of this is so the game player can show off their personality through their character's visual upgrades. Now, another interesting thing is Multi-Crew will be supporting VR. This means that up to 4 players can fly together in a spaceship. Of course, the VR support will be compatible with the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift. Now, the multi-crew feature is you and up to 3 of your friends can take on different roles as a crew. Now, the first one is Helm, who is in charge of piloting the ship. The second is Fire Control, who will be in charge of weapons, turrets, and lipid controls. And third is Tactical, which will manage the shields, sensors, and countermeasure. And fourth is the Engineer, who will deal with power distribution and repairs. Moving on into some Psychonauts news. Psychonauts is making a return with the Rompus of Ruin, which is being developed by Tim Schafer's team at Double Fine Productions. Now, it was announced that the game will release on PlayStation 4 as a PSVR game on February 21st. Now, that game will be coming out at that time. We're going to move on. I was going to say something else, but let's move on. Now, for Fallout 4 fans, there is some good news on the horizon, especially if you have a PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, starting this week, the game will be getting an update 1.9 to be exact, which will add a native 1444p resolution, enhanced God ray effects, better draw distances for objects, NPCs, trees, and grass, as well as enhanced lighting and graphics features for the PlayStation 4 Pro version, that is. Now, Bethesda also said they will release a high resolution texture pack for PC this week as a free download for their supporters. Now, in order to take advantage of this on PC, you will need the following specs. You'll need 8 gigs of RAM or more, an Intel Core i7 5820K or better. You'll need Windows 7, 8, or 10, but a 64-bit OS is required. You'll also need a GTX 1080 8GB or a AMD Radeon RX 490 8GB of RAM, and you'll also need 58GB of hard drive space. Now, according to the article, the Xbox One will also be getting a resolution bump, according to IGN. But I think what they mean by this is being able to benefit from better draw distance, guard ray effects, etc. Not so much resolution, but we shall see how that goes. Moving on to developer Playtonic. Now, developer Playtonic has finished up the initial development for Yooka-Laylee, which means the game has gone gold. Now, if you didn't know, the game was funded on Kickstarter. Now, there will be a survey going out soon, which will allow backers to choose what platform they play the game on. Now, you can choose whether you get the game physically or digitally as well. Now, if you wanted the game on Wii U, then you can request a refund using the survey. Now, as far as the Nintendo Switch version goes, Playtonic said that they continue to work closely with Nintendo on it, and more details will be announced later. Now, Yooka-Laylee will be releasing in April for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Moving on from there, now into some Xbox news. According to Xbox head Phil Spencer, he said via a tweet to a fan when asked, when will Phantom Dust release? His response was, the game should ship before E3. Now, this game is a Play Anywhere title and will be releasing on the PC. So either way, this game will be being released, according to Mr. Phil Spencer, by June 13th, because that is E3 day, June 13th. So from the 12th and back, we'll see what happens. Moving on into some more Fallout news. In more Fallout news, Bethesda Game Studios announced that Fallout Shelter is expanding to a broader audience and will be coming to both the Xbox One and PC on February 7th as an Xbox Play Anywhere title. And it will be free to download on both the Xbox One and PC. It's been no word on the PlayStation 4 version, but maybe we'll hear something about that in the coming future. Moving on into some Stardew Valley news. Now, if you're a fan of Stardew Valley, then you'll be happy to know that according to 505 Games, the game will be getting a physical release on both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Now, the game will release on April 11th. For $29.99 for the physical collector's edition. Now, what you'll get with this edition is the following. You'll get a copy of the game, of course. You'll get a fold-out poster of the Pelican Town map. You'll get a miniature version of Kyrie Fire's Stardew Valley guidebook, and a code to download the soundtrack. Moving on into some more PlayStation news. This is very interesting. It looks like PlayStation 4 will finally be getting external hard drive support via a system update. Now, for right now, the update is in beta and is only available to a certain amount of game players, but it will be coming soon for all PlayStation players to enjoy in the near future. Now, moving and keeping actually with Sony, but switching gears a little bit to Mr. Hideo Kojima. Now, during a stage event in Sydney, Mr. Kojima talked about his relationship with Sony and why he chose to partner with them. He said even though there were many offers on the table from companies even outside of gaming, he said he wanted to work with Sony because there was a mutual respect and a relationship that spans over 20 years. Now, not only that, but he continued to say Sony gives him 100% 100% creative freedom to do what he needs to do. Moving on from there, keeping with Sony. Now, Sony has also announced, which is interesting, they've announced that the PlayStation 4 Pro will be getting a boost mode and have talked about this feature in more depth. Now, boost mode will allow the PlayStation 4 Pro to run at a higher GPU and CPU clock speed for smoother gameplay on some PlayStation 4 games that were released before the launch of the PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, this is allegedly supposed to be included in the 4.50 update, which is also the update that is going to give the PlayStation 4 the external hard drive support, but it's possible it may not make it into the full release update. So we'll have to stay tuned to see how this goes. Moving on into some Tekken 7 news. Now, Tekken 7 Fated Retribution will take up at least 42 gigabytes of hard drive space on your PlayStation 4. At this moment in time, there was no word on the Xbox One version. I don't even know if it's coming out on the Xbox One, but for right now, 42 gigabytes will be required to download Tekken 7 Fated Retribution on your PlayStation 4. Now, moving back a little bit into some Psychonauts news. This just came out not long ago. That's why I didn't include it. Just kind of seeing this. Well, it's official. Psychonauts 2 is going to happen, and it will be published by Starbreeze Studios. Now, in a news release announcing the terms of the deal. Now, Starbreeze said it will invest $8 million into the project's marketing and distribution. And because of that, it will get 85% of Psychonauts 2's revenue until those costs are recouped. And then after the costs are recouped, then 60% of the revenue will be theirs after that. But on the good side, at least Double Fine Productions, who are the makers behind the title, will retain all rights to the IP. So Tim Schafer and his team will get to keep the rights. Moving on into the final story for this week for the bonus stage, the game by Mr. David Jaffe entitled Drawn to Death has a release date. Yes, as of, the release date will be coming out April 4th for this game. Now, this game will be a downloadable title and will sell for $19.99. Now, the game is a multiplayer arena shooter set inside a teenager's notebook. Guys, that is it for this week's bonus stage, but don't worry. We'll be back next week with a full show of the Analog Circle. And like I said, guys, I would love to get your feedback, love to hear what you think about this idea of making the bonus stage a bi-weekly show. That way I don't take up a lot of you guys' time. You guys can get the news and move on with your day in minutes as opposed to it being an hour or more. So definitely leave your comments. Leave your opinion. I definitely want to hear from you guys. Once again, you can reach the show at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com or call in to get your voicemail played on the podcast at 443-261-4607. Once again, I was your host, Keon Mitchell. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to listen to some other previously recorded podcasts, I guess you could say, you can go over to SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, Audio Mac, all of those places. Go over there, check it out. I have ranted on way too long. So with that being said, you guys take care. Play the video games, brother. Forget the console war. Play the games. That's what it's about. Man, I'm out of here. Peace.